Hello, everyone. Um, whether you're here live or whether you're watching the video afterwards, welcome. It is Sunday, May 10th, 2020. It's Mother's Day here in the United States. And uh, so today, what I am going to do is celebrate our other mothers. Let's talk about some other mothers besides those that have given birth to us here on earth biologically, or those who have been our moms in so many other ways here. We're going to dive a little bit deeper today. And what brought me to this idea today was watching over the past several weeks my social media feed, and it's been an interesting observation. There are so many things crossing it, so many truths, maybe truths, depends on what you believe, depends on what you see. People I know and trust, intuiting, thinking different things about the pandemic itself, about the response to it. Um, it's been a bit fascinating, and I was talking to a friend about this and just kind of pondering over it a little bit, and she said to me, "Well, they have all the power." And I kind of knew who the they she was talking about meant in her view. I think we all have a different view, or many of us have a different view or experience as to who they have the power in our lives might be. And so I spent a few days pondering this. And I think where I have come back to is that the answer or the thought is no, actually, they don't have any power. Really, I have all the power. And that's because other people cannot have power over us unless we allow them to, unless we give it to them. And and so in the history of the human feminine, right, in a patriarchal system, women in general don't have any power, or at least not any outside power and our external power. And so this is what we've been living with. And this idea that women, the feminine, I'm not just going to call it women because the divine feminine is in all of us. We're this mixture of feminine and masculine, and we need to be this balance of feminine and masculine traits. My colleague and friend Kristen wrote a blog about this years ago that was so brilliant, that the masculine is justice and the feminine is mercy. And we need that balance in our lives, right? So anyway, not just women, but what are considered feminine traits of inclusiveness and mercy have been seen as weak, and that has done as much damage to human gendered males as it has to gendered females. And so um, at this point, uh, there's a lot of change happening in our world, a lot of change happening in our world, and we really don't know where it's going to lead. But I keep coming back to this idea that we have power and we have all the power. And history has shown us that. And even Mother's Day, I read an article, which I think I read every year, and I am reminded that Mother's Day did not start as a holiday to celebrate your mom and to be kind to your earthly mom. It started in protest to the Franco-Prussian and the Civil Wars back in the 1800s that were so bloody, and women were tired of sending their sons and husbands and fathers and brothers off to war when they did not have a voice in government and in the decisions to start a war or continue a war that they were going to lose loved ones in. And so, there's a long history of women having a voice and powerful women having voices. And so I started thinking about, where do we look for that that divine feminine power. And there are three other mothers that I would like to bring our attention to today and celebrate before we do anything else. And the first is our dear, dear Mother Earth. Um, so supportive, right? And yet, we were talking just last evening, my family and I, about how resilient she is, about how many examples there are, and during this pandemic as well. Um, if we just give Mother Nature a chance to recover from Chernobyl, from oil spills, from any kind of devastation, wildfires, even natural devastations, the quickness and the ability for for Mother Earth to bring back new life and to recover from those quote unquote disasters is actually really amazing. And so that's a power, right? That's a superpower to bring forth life from complete and utter desolation and devastation. And then again, it doesn't matter what we humans do. Mother Nature's seasons are going to do what they're going to do. The flowers are going to bloom when they feel ready. The trees are going to leaf out. The snow is going to fall. And we have an effect on that as humans. And we can have an effect on that. But the power, again, to bring forth that life is not ours. It's Mother Nature's. And so I just want to celebrate Mother Nature for a minute and say thank you and gratitude to that power and that connectedness. That you don't need to look any further than nature to see that interwovenness, that interconnectedness, that unity that is at the core of the divine feminine energy. And the second mother that I would like to talk about today is someone that I've had a bit of an interesting and difficult relationship over the years, and that is Mother Mary. And I won't go into why she and I have had, why I've struggled with who she is, but when I traveled to Israel a couple of years ago, I got a whole new perspective on her that I think has been lost to Western Christianity, and that is that it's Mother Mary who gathered the disciples together after the death of Jesus, and Mother Mary traveled with John and spoke and supported him and continued the ministry and was an integral part of the Christian or the community of the way, as it was known back in that time. She was an integral part of that community, and not only just a part of it, but a leader in it. And then I visited her, the church that's dedicated to her in Jerusalem, and learned that they believe very strongly that Mary was assumed into heaven at her death, just like Christ was. Like, there was no burial, there was no funeral, there was no decomposition of the body, that she was so revered and so loved by her son that he literally just lifted her up and took her into heaven to be with him. And so again, and I kind of understand this as a mom. It's sort of like mothers against drunk driving, right? Like, here's her son that she had followed, that she had said yes to this craziness, and she had to trust that what the angel Gabriel was telling her, and trust that everything was going to be okay. And so many choices of her saying yes, which actually shows her power, right? Because choice is a power. And so throughout her entire lifetime, she is using her voice and using her trust to bring new life into the world, and after Jesus' death, to maintain that ministry, which I think as a mom I would do if anything happened to my children. I would like to think that that I would follow in her footsteps, and so I would just like to recognize. I guess the other thing that I forgot to mention is that I have come to realize that through her saying yes, Mother Mary has literally become a mother to all of us. And I meet her in my work energetically whenever anyone needs a mom figure, an unconditionally loving, adoring mother figure. Mother Mary has a tendency to show up, and she shows up in the world in very mystical places when people need her. And so um, I think that's another place that we can look to for strength um, and for a modeling of what human strength and human mothering and power is. Yes. And so then the last mother that I would like to celebrate today um, is our own internal mother. So, regardless of what kind of experience you had with your mom here on earth, adoptive mom, foster mom, aunt who was a mom, biological mom, they're all human, right? And none of us are perfect as humans. As much as I would love to think that I'm the perfect mom, I know I'm not. And so, nobody had the perfect, wonderful, unconditional love from either parent, right? And so what we need to do is we need to find that inner strength. We need to find that inner mom when we are feeling sad or hurt or wounded, or our little parts come up that are, the 3-year-old whose mom maybe wasn't there the way they needed them to be. And what we can do is we can go inside and we can find our own internal mom who can be there for those parts of us that are wounded and continue to be wounded. And we can visualize and hold those little children of ours that are still hurt and love them ourselves in a way that that maybe they didn't get the way they needed it to when they were growing up. And maybe even, there's 40-year-olds or 20-year-olds inside of us that didn't get that love. And we can go inside and we can be mothers to ourselves. And every time we heal those little hurt places in ourselves, we change the world because we're changing ourselves inside and we're doing our own work. And it's one of the ways that we can dream and vision the future is by making changes for ourselves each and every day. It allows us to then shine and share that mercy, that loving kindness, that unconditional love, and that compassion that we can show ourselves through our own internal mother. It makes us more capable of sharing and shining that out into the world and being the powerful, loving force that can bring new life into this world that we're all co-creating at every moment of our lives. So those are my thoughts for today as far as mothers go. And I would like to, because silence and being together is so important. And boy, last week there weren't a lot of people on the video with me when we did the 10-minute meditation, but about 3/4 of the way through it, I could literally feel the energy beginning to build of the collective, maybe that weren't there right at that moment, but were definitely coming. And it was very powerful. And so it's a practice that I would like to continue today and through May. I'm going to be doing these Facebook Lives at 5 o'clock every Sunday through May. I'm feeling called to gather in community through this month as we all enter and re-enter the world and this uncertainty and fear that seems to keep bubbling up, at least for me. So now what I would like to do is I would like to show you something that I was reminded of in yoga this week, and then I'm going to set our timer for 10 minutes of silence again together, as we tune into our hearts, right? Because our hearts are the center of this unconditional love energy that we have access to, that divine feminine, um, divine masculine unity, completeness that we have access to at all times. And so what I'll show you is called the Unshakable Trust Mudra. And basically you just take your hands and you interlace them and you just place them over your heart, and you just leave them there. And I was like, oh, unshakable trust. Yeah, I could do that. I need that. So I was very grateful that Kathleen, my yoga teacher online, reminded us about this week. So I'm going to do my Unshakable Trust Mudra, and I'm going to set my phone timer for 10 minutes, because I am probably going to close my eyes so that it helps me to tune in, and I'm going to invite you to join me to do this today. And actually, I'm attempting to do this silent heart opening meditation for 10 to 20 minutes every day through this month. So I invite you to join me to do this. All right, so here we go. 10 minutes of unshakable trust and unconditional love. So let's take our mudra and let's cup our hands. And first, let's take that love, that unconditional love for ourselves and compassion, and let's offer it to ourselves. Breathing it in and up and out. Offering that to everyone. Into the world. So I hope I've given you some ideas of places that you can look if you're feeling out of control or powerless, that you may be able to find those. I'm sure there are other possibilities in your own world. Please feel free to share on the comments where you find that reminder that in the end we all have power, and the the most powerful thing in the cosmos, I'm convinced, is love. Love always wins. Love always conquers. Love is the most powerful force that we can tap into, tune into, and offer to others and create a beautiful new world. So thank you for joining me. Stay well, stay healthy, stay out of trouble. Maybe not. Maybe trouble's a lot of fun. I hope you've had a brilliant day, and I hope to see you next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here. Take good care.